It's that time again. Another low float stock moving. CMCT. Another low floater. Good morning, good morning. So this was testing 950 and it struggled just slightly here. Might pull away though, I'm not sure. It looks like it's struggling a little bit. I'm worried there might be selling here. If it does pull away, I expect this to go straight to like 1150 though. Yeah, this really feels like it's struggling. 200,000 shares though, extremely high volume relative to the float. It's just really struggling at this $10 level though. A lot of churn right around here. It keeps holding here at around 980, but it does feel like there's some kind of wall here. For such a low float to be struggling like this seems kind of odd to me. Still worried about getting in here. There seemed to be some kind of seller around this area. Had somewhat high volume on this breakdown. But the volume is still much higher than the relative float. So this does give opportunity too. So I have mixed feelings about this setup. Took a 1/4 size starter here. Low volume on this breakdown. It's only 15 seconds in though, so we'll see if this does anything. There might be a wall at 833. Okay, we are holding above 833. This can curl. We could see some nice action to try and get above 9. So it looks like we were having a test at the 1-minute high. Not great volume though. Okay, we're getting the test of the 1-minute high. Honestly, really wanted to try and cut there. Couldn't get a fill though. I was wanting to hold through a bounce here. Good morning, John. I was trying to hold for a bounce here, but it just feels like it took too long to get here. And I really wanted to see a quick resolution for a bounce, especially after this 1-minute high. Seeing it struggle, not really what I wanted to see. Should be happy with the small winner, to be honest. Forgot to open up my spreadsheet for the day. Still think 1/4 size seemed appropriate there. Yeah, and it looks like I was correct to get out. This thing basically topped and rolled back over. Arguably, I could have waited a bit longer, but I don't know. My gut was telling me that it was struggling too hard. Volatility was quite high on this too. Yeah, so my initial thought was on this curl here at around 1020 price. I was seeing heavy resistance. Like, it was breaking above it, but we kept seeing it break back down below it. On this breakdown, we were seeing high volume, so I wanted to see it break down a bit more. We did get it here. I got in around 840, 843, and I was not the greatest entry. It's kind of hard to time it, especially with how much these can range. But I was about 35 cents or so off from the bottom. And then when I saw it struggling to curl, I felt that my edge was starting to get diminished. And then when we saw the 1 minute high struggling, I just wanted out. LFS, I'll check it out. I haven't seen it. Crazy move, huh? Wow. Wow. What the heck? $2 to 18. And I mean, it's still somewhat holding up. Wow, that's crazy. 26 million shares, but like, that's still an impressive move. Just looking at the daily, we have a similar setup too, where the stock was just bleeding and then a massive spike out of nowhere. Okay. Well, that's cool. See how the other stocks did from yesterday, just to kind of compare. So QNRX basically died. Turb, this one died pretty hard too. GLTO. Okay, GLTO actually did make a new high, and it's still holding up nicely. Move. Holding up pretty strong, honestly. So we're seeing a lot of, yeah, even this one, ENGN. A lot of stocks that are pumping are holding up pretty decent. So like CMCT has the similar setup, right? Where it's a very low float. We saw a nice pop. So I would give this decent-ish odds to hold up. The only problem is it looked like there was a hidden seller around this level. And we saw higher volume on the sell-off. So this makes me a little less inclined to trust this for a recovery. But considering the other stocks did recover and hold, I suppose there's also an argument to say that it could recover. A Discord pump or something? I mean, anything's possible, I guess. This one was a bit higher float, though. Or LFS was a bit higher float. So I don't know why this one would be a pump specifically. Interesting how it sold off and then this spike. It's possible. It's such a crazy pump, though. Although I would argue if this was a pump, it's very strange that it didn't just dump, right? You look at where it pumped from, $2, and it's currently holding at $9.50. I figure if it was a pump and dump, it would have just come back down, much closer to the original price at least, right? I mean, you think of where it's at right now, it still hasn't dumped. So I'm actually a little bit less inclined to say this is a pump and dump. It could have been spurred by it, or there might be other factors, but I'm actually not so sold on the pump and dump theory. Okay, so we are seeing more momentum coming back. Volume has picked up. And yeah, maybe if this volume stays high, maybe it just overpowers the selling pressure. I was trying to catch the recovery here, but it looked too weak here, and we did end up seeing another leg down. So I don't regret getting out. And yeah, volume kept dropping on the second pullback. Very impressive volume, right? This is even higher than this volume. Extremely high volume. 260,000. Right? That's almost half of the float. Yeah, this area is a clear critical congestion. Seeing the super high volume not resolve well was very strange to me. I would have expected this much volume to have a bigger move. Just comparing it to how it was moving over here. Seeing a bit of a breakdown. The volume's light. Okay, it seems like there's a bit of a wall at 890. Don't know how big it is, but it tested 890 twice and it rejected there. Could be a hidden seller. Yeah, pure price action and volume. Yep, that's what I use. I've tried a whole bunch of indicators. MACD was okay. I also thought VWAP was okay. I don't like using trend lines or moving averages, though. Okay, so it looks like we have tested breaking the 890 level. Hasn't really pulled away from it, though. Okay, so we didn't hold above 890, and 890's again showing up here. Volume's remaining elevated, even at these higher prices. Yeah. Nice breakout on lower volume. So it went to 950, it tapped it, now it's pulled back. Volume, overall volume for this candle was much higher though. Yeah, I thought about punching it at 950. Ugh, and it just pulled away immediately. Seeing that candle close with that much volume, that actually looked quite bullish. Okay, so we're seeing another massive spike of volume, similar to this one. So yeah, that would have been the opportunity trying to get in here around that 890 break. The next one would be around that break of 950. They both just happened instantaneously though. $400,000. That's insane volume for this float. So tested 10 again. Let's test a 10 again. So we saw a break, went up 6 cents. Maybe a fake breakout? But it is holding decently. It's above 990. So we saw it break above 10 very briefly, twice. Had a bit of a rug, but nothing too crazy. Dropped like 50 cents. Gonna try and get in here. It looked like 36 was holding right as I get in. Unfortunately, it broke. It had tested 36 2 or 3 times here, and it had held. I was hoping we would see that hold and then just break right back through 950. $8.90 would be the next spot to watch. But I don't know. This volume, it's not super high relative to this. But yeah, this was almost purely selling. I think I'm just going to get out there. Small loss on that one. I was really hoping for 36 to hold. Looks like I was wrong on that. It ended up breaking down much more than that. Yeah, I really needed 36 to hold to give me the conviction to hold longer. Problem was, is this volume was increasing, and then seeing this rug at 10 with increasing volume at the time, if 890 didn't hold, this could have accelerated, and we could have seen a drop to maybe 850. Didn't want to try and hold something like that in that condition. Did rally back up to 10 though. So maybe it's just the case that I'm not giving this enough breathing room, maybe? I mean, to be fair, I'm already giving it 50 cents of breathing room. It could just be ranging more than I'm used to. Right, this went from 1009 to 902. Seeing massive volume coming in on this candle as well. So we broke back above 10, got to that 1020, 1030 level, which was the resistance here. We're seeing it back off again now. And again, this is the third candle now we've had on a massive green spike. A lot of chaos here now. Quite a nasty rejection here. Went ahead and went long here, 971. Looks like it's holding slightly at this level, looking for a bounce back up. Okay, we did break 10, but can we actually go above it? My entry was pretty strong on this one. Timed almost the bottom of this bounce. Is it really just going to roll over and not go any higher than 10? There's a bit of a wall at 990 now. It's been testing it a lot. Okay, it looks like that wall broke. Gonna take half off here just because it keeps struggling here. I've still got the other half. It's really just going flat. I really thought this would have popped more if it was going to. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, still ranging in this 10-10, 10-20 level. Still have half of my size left. I don't know. I'm like starting to get worried. It keeps hesitating here. Gonna try and cut it here. Just close it. 1032. That's like 50 cents above where I bought. It's still not bad. I really don't like how this has been grinding here. I'm too worried about it reversing. I thought this would have been a much cleaner breakout. You could have argued maybe I should have held more, because I already did sell half in profit, and I was well in the green. So the odds of this trade turning red was very low. But I really just wanted this to retrace back up, test the high, and then break it, go up like $1. Yeah, basically that. I mean, this is like a 50-cent break, but... Yeah, 1060. It was struggling a lot at this 1020 range, too. $10.60, I mean, we had it reject here. Did reject here as well, but I was more interested in this 1020 level here, because this was the one where it would break 1020, it would go up, then break, then immediately get pushed back down. So even though these were higher than 1020, I actually looked at 1020 as the real resistance. So I think that was what? That was like a small winner, maybe a decent winner. Maybe like a $10 winner. That was actually probably better than I'm giving it credit. Excellent. Excellent entry, though. It's probably an 8 quality. Yeah, that was actually a pretty decent trade. Even though I got out before the final big move, I captured about half of it. My entry was excellent. I got in super close to the bottom. Yeah, I was 8 cents off the bottom. That was a very good entry. I'm still debating if I should have held to try and capture, because I was looking for this kind of move. Thank you, Quantix. Thank you. It's nice to have a small green day. After what happened 2 days ago. But yeah, you can see I'm really trying to focus on my sizing, right? 1/4 size, I think is appropriate for this stock for me. This thing does have the potential. If this thing flushes $1 on me, I'd only lose 25 bucks. That's totally reasonable. $14 isn't a crazy return, though. I've been kind of getting stopped out before getting the second half of these squeezes. Oof, okay. 200,000 on this flush. This could be the backside. Very interesting. So we grind it up to get back to high of day just to flush. Volume's a bit high right now, so I don't know if I want to get in here. If we see this break down more and this volume decreases, this could be a buy for me. But I want to see volume go down. Right, it could bounce right here. It is showing hesitancy. But because we had 2 high volume candles before this, I'm a bit concerned about this just being mass distribution. Man, if you bought in here and you were just holding and hoping. I mean, I still don't think this is dead, right? Looking at the 5-minute chart, this still has opportunity to curl. This candle isn't extremely terrible, but I mean, you got to start asking yourself if this is the start of the backside of the move. Yeah, I don't trust this buying here. Not on this volume. So we are seeing lower volume, but I would have loved to see this extend down a bit more. Like if we got like 880 and this volume was still this low, that looks like that might be an entry for me. But I feel like this didn't break down quite enough. There's not enough of an imbalance right now. FTCI looks like it's moving. So maybe this is stealing the spotlight a bit. The volume was pretty light until now. Okay, this is just earnings though. This is kind of just grinding here. Yeah, I'm really worried this is just distribution and this is the backside. No bounce here. We keep seeing it attempt a 1 minute high, but there hasn't been a 1 minute high yet. I'm really watching to see it test it. Like 917 would be the test. I don't think I want to get in even if it does break above it. Unless if we saw massive volume, would that be bullish on the test of 917? I'm not sure. Because the problem is there could be a seller who's ready to slam the bid when it hits this level. I think I might be done watching this for now, unless this gets back towards high of day. I'll still keep watching it, of course, but I don't know if I want to get involved with it anymore at this area. I think there's a possibility this is just the backside. Yeah, I just feel like this one, the float's a little too high, and the volume's also a bit low. So I'm not really super keen on this. I mean, pretty simple catalyst. It's a earnings report, so it could be justified, but I feel like it's moving a bit too slow to try and get any real momentum on it. Notably, we don't really have anything on the scanners either, so it's really just this I'm watching right now to see how this resolves. So we had the 1 minute high attempt. It did fail, but the volume is also very low. So I don't really trust this as a failure signal. We need to see it break down, and we need to see the volume pick up. FTCI, we are seeing somewhat of a move on it. It was below 10, and now it's above it, around 1040s. So, I mean, this thing is getting movement. Just more movement than I would have expected for only 40,000. Like 40,000 on a higher float stock, I feel like this shouldn't have moved this much. Yeah, this thing's moving with even light volume. It's very strange. Seeing a bit more of a breakdown. So when we saw this breakdown and we saw this kind of wall here, my initial thought is there a distributor that sold massively here? Right, so they were selling at 1020. Stock, they let the price break out, then they slam it hard, and they've been just distributing this whole time, right? Even here, like they were still having a wall here selling. Buyers ran out, so now the distributor is just moving the price down in increments. The only theory, or the only problem with this theory, is this volume has been incredibly light. So this price action may also be a fake out. I think that's a possibility too. Very hard to judge if this is real or not because of the lower volume. Right, so if we saw a further breakdown to like 820 and the volume didn't pick up intensely, that could be good for a buy opportunity. Maybe 830, 820, 830. So we've seen it test here now, 860s. Maybe we'll just say 870. It's tapped here 3 times. So yeah, it looks like we got 760 as a good bounce area. We kind of had that here. Above that, I don't really see anything too significant. We had this just under 8 or just over 8, but I'm not sure how much I rely on that. 770, 760 looks like a much safer daily chart bounce zone. Oh yeah, you guys can't see it because my face is in the way. Yeah, I was just looking at this here. Looks like we have 760, 770. Could be a good area for a bounce. We did have that bounce here. Yeah, I'm not really bullish or bearish right now on this breakout. The volume's too low for me to really have conviction in it. Pretty nice bounce though, honestly, right? 68 to 920s. That's a 60-cent bounce. $86,000 volume. Volume's lower, but relative to the float, it's still quite high. But yeah, I'm probably just waiting for the top of the hour, see if any new news comes out. I'm probably not going to mess with FTCI. It just it floats a bit too high. Volume's a bit too low. Yeah, not a lot of things actually moving, despite us having this nice move on CMCT. We are seeing a bit of a curl on the 5-minute. Like I said, I still don't really trust this because the volume is just too low. But it's at least worth keeping an eye on this, maybe. RWS. Okay, what the heck am I even looking at here? So, this had news at 7 an hour ago, but it's only just now moving. And also, this price action looks completely gibberish. Volume's also a bit lighter. They also had earnings, or yeah, they had earnings. So this was completely dead on earnings, right? Only 100 volume. And them announcing a dividend and just nothing. We also had this really weird spike down a couple days ago. This feels weird. Let me reset my orders because, at least for the moment, I'm not expecting to be trading something super volatile. All right, we're at 8 o'clock. We'll see if anything comes out. I am slightly interested in this one. I don't feel comfortable buying it at anywhere around here, though, just because we've kind of had a bit of a gap up with no volume at all. Right, like this volume, it could have like slowly stair-stepped up to here, because we've had no volume all of this. The volume only really came in right here. So if anything, I would want to see price return back to like the 260s. $266 maybe. No, this volume was higher though. 50 shares. we got TELO. Nice volume. Have news. A bit higher float. Thing just immediately rolled over. Oof. Outperforms FDA approves sold standard. Dies. Okay, we got BGLC. Let's see what this one looks like. So this one did have a nice spike initially. Much better volume. And there's news. Gotta drop everything to half here. Maybe I should just make separate keybinds for this. It's like, lately we've seen where I have to keep readjusting position sizing. Just because of how volatile some of the moving stocks are. I tried for a sniper entry here. That would have been beautiful if that hit. CRWS, further breakdown. Also interested in this one. Very interesting that this ended up gapping up to here. Volume spikes here, and then just completely gives it back. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for the call, context. I didn't see your message. Yeah, I don't know. This thing completely giving the whole thing back. Highest candle volume. Not sure how much I like that. I did try for a sniper entry on it earlier. It's 552. Price went to 550, so theoretically I could have gotten filled, but that 550 probably hit before I placed the order. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm iffy on this one. This one was extremely choppy these first 3 minutes. Then there's the high volume. This candle really makes me feel like sellers were in control here. Only way I'd feel more confident is if we saw this recovery on even higher volume than the selling. That would restore conviction, I think. Like, these candles aren't super low volume. And we saw a attempted break at 617. Consolidated here for 3 minutes. On the break, volume wasn't very high initially. It only picked up as the price dropped below it. I still don't have super high conviction in this right now. The only thing that's keeping me interested is that it's a low float with news and the volume is relatively high. But this massive sell-off on high volume, what appears to be a rejection here after a false breakout, this just looks bearish to me. Like I said, the way I would have been restored conviction if we saw us return towards these highs with higher volume than the sell-off candle. We didn't get that though. Yeah, 640 to 540. Basically a whole dollar sell-off in 3 minutes. There's a small argument for taking a buy here. The volume has dropped off these last 2 minutes. It could be due for some kind of correction. I'm wondering if the selling pressure is gone, though. This is still quite high, so I'm inclined to think it's going to go down a bit more. This might have been the low. We're seeing decreasing volume each minute. This one is looking like it's going to be even lower than the previous. Take a stab there. $5 looks like a decent entry. Only half size, though. I think there's a seller at 5, though. News catalyst was neutral. So it's weird for the price to go below the initial price. We're also seeing bottoming tails on these candles. This could be fake outs. Lower volume too. If we see it break down lower on light volume, I might add another 50. 200 moving average is $5. Yeah, I mean, even just looking at the daily, right? Let me pull it up on this one. So even just looking at the daily, it seems like we have some kind of support around $5 here. The thing that kind of concerns me, though, is we had this clear setup where somebody had a lot they wanted to sell. They were selling with gradual selling pressure. They made it look like they were done, and then they hammered with another large sell order. And then whenever it was testing around here earlier, it looked like there was a hidden seller at 5. So my question is how much of the selling pressure is left? At this point, we're below the close of the previous day on what is essentially a non-event news catalyst. So logically, it should return at least to the close of the previous day. So around 513 or so. I was hoping we'd see more of a bounce here. Like 520, 515. Like 517. If we see it surge through. I'm not super convinced that's going to happen anymore, because seeing it struggle at 5 like this really makes me feel like there's just a hidden seller at 5. And maybe my entry was a little too aggressive. On the bright side, I've managed to dodge most of this sell-off. So even if I have a loss here, the loss shouldn't be that big. Okay, this breakdown was on only like 6,000. We got 11 minutes till the half hour. 5,000 of buying there. But just back down. And then replace it with a 10,000 share sell order. Order got taken out very quickly when it was placed. So they were willing to buy at 485, 10,000. Whoever bought. I feel like this volume is still too low though. It's very interesting. All right, this breakdown, because I'm looking at the volume, 13K. Another 5,000 share seller here. We got 5 minutes till the half hour here. Quite surprised this just hasn't really been bouncing at all. We had kind of an attempted bounce here. It looked like there was a hidden seller. It seems like that may have held up. I'm just surprised we saw this curl and then just complete selling and then just slowly bleeding after that. On a neutral news catalyst too. Alright, the daily also looked like we should have had support around a little above 5. 3 minutes till the half hour. We'll see if any news comes out. Yeah, what surprises me is that this was such a low float. We had a lot of the criteria that we had for other stocks. But not only did this roll over, but it rolled over hard, right? Like, this wasn't just a return to the normal level. This was a completely rollover. I would agree with you, money moving elsewhere, but there's not really other stocks really moving at the moment. There's nothing really diverting attention, right? CMCT is still just trading sideways. I mean, it's holding. We see it had a curl the last 5 minutes. The other main gappers aren't really moving too crazy here. Yeah, I'm gonna cut it there. Bit of a loss on that one, but I need to be ready because we're at the half hour. Stuff could come out here any second. Honestly, I probably should have sold that for break even to a small loss when I was seeing it struggle at 5. I kind of got it into my head that this has to recover because it's such a low float that's been working well. It's below where it was yesterday. News wasn't bad. And yeah, I mean, I've seen it happen where it'll do this and then it'll slowly recover over time. But yeah, just for whatever reason today, this one is not recovering. Oh wow, yeah, it did fall farther. Fell to 60. Like, it's just been on this slow kind of grind lower. So even after, I mean, I assume that someone started selling here. Maybe they even did this curl intentionally to get people to buy. So they sold here, distributed. You can see the volume slowly decreased. They made it look like they were done, hit with a massive sell order, and then they were having an order on the bid at around 5. So even after all this selling, whoever was selling still had shares to sell. And I don't even know how that's possible because this is such a low float. You would think they would have been out by now, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see this stock recover between now and the end of today. But yeah, we'll see if we get anything here. AMZE. It's a penny stock. CMCT, it looks like it's kind of rolling over here. It did make a bit of a bounce, but I wouldn't even call it rolling over. It's just kind of churning. We had a bit of a curl here, but now it's kind of on the backside again. This is still holding up well, though. Right? We are holding at this level. We've got an hour until market open, and this thing's still holding 50% of its gains, maybe 60%. So yeah, this is still looking decent for an actual day session trade. Not only that, but I'm actually looking at the volume here. We actually have... This volume is not that much lower than the volume here. It's maybe about half size. This move might not be done. I was losing conviction when I saw it do this and then just kind of break down on higher volume on this quick of a flush, and then it was just kind of bleeding. I thought it might have been the backside here, but seeing how that bleeding slowed down and we saw this volume picking up, there's at least a chance. I think there's a higher chance now that it'll curl than it did back here. Yeah, I'm seeing nothing on the scanners right now. I mean, really, if I'm being honest, other than CMCT, we didn't really have anything today. Like, I'm trying to think of what other moves were even on the scanners, and we didn't have anything that held up. BLGC obviously attempted a move. BGLC. Like, this at least attempted a move. It failed. We had FTCI. This was an earnings call. The volume was suspiciously light for a lot of this front because the stock is over 10 million shares. So this was a bit too light of volume and too high of a float. I don't know. CMCT is still in consolidation, but it's still at the top of the list. That is true. It is at the top of the gain scanner. 80-cent move downside in the last 3 minutes. Yeah. This would definitely be one to watch if you're going to be trading today in the market, open market session. Debating if I should just quit early today, because I'm going to be getting off here around 9, and if there's not even anything moving on the scanners, I'm not really sure if it's worth me being here right now. Alternatively, I could stay till 9, see if anything comes up at 9. But between now and 9, unless something comes up on the scanner. You see, I got 18 people here. How did you guys do today? Take a lot of trades? Not too many trades? I mean, I took 4, stuck in BGLC for a while before giving up on it, but just didn't really see a lot of... I mean, I know CMCT was good, but I kept getting shaken out of it just because you had these weird... Right, this wasn't a very clean move up. This was very choppy grind. This was kind of hard to trade without getting stopped out. You basically had to buy a pullback here. Haven't touched anything? No, I mean, yeah, I don't blame you, man. Like, I felt like this was the only good one to try. And it was very choppy. Like, I got shaken out when I tried trading it here. It did make a move lower, but then it recovered. I tried trading it on one of these as well. And then I traded it near the top here, but each time I was just finding it wasn't immediately breaking whenever we were having those key level breaks. Like, it wasn't immediately pulling away. You trade SPY options. Okay. What kind of expiration we talking? We talking 0 DTE or longer term swings? I guess another way to put it, are we talking degenerate gambling, or are we actually talking about making educated decisions? 0 DTE. Oh, I bless you, man. I mean, I've messed with 0 DTE, but just the theta decay on it. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like you're playing against the house when you're doing that. Time decay just kills you, even if you hold it for just 30 minutes. No gambling? I mean, saying 0 DTE and no gambling in the same sentence seems crazy to me. I can't really think of a more YOLO play than 0 DTE. Even if you're just scalping, right? You're not holding it for super long. But if you hold for even 30 minutes with it expiring that day, you lose so much theta decay. Not a great day with CMCT is all there is, but moving towards VWAP and maybe the only play for those gauging to trade. Just broke VWAP. Yeah, I mean, this looks like a good setup for today. This one is definitely something to keep on watch. I mean, if I'm being honest, it's actually probably the only thing to keep on watch. My family considers day trading gambling. I mean, everything is a gamble, really. I would say day trading is probably one of the most speculative forms of trading. So from that respect, it is a form of gambling. But I would also say that when I think of gambling, I think of trying to just do something to hope. But like with what I'm doing something with what I believe is a statistical edge. And I have historical past performance that suggests that as well. So to me, it's more of a educated gambling, which is, I think, a lot different than like the traditional, what people think of, where you just go to a casino and just throw money on red or something. Like at that point, you're not really doing any strategy because all casino gambling is rigged against you. There's a couple that aren't, like I know blackjack's not. Technically, you could play poker, but at that poker, you're not even playing against the house, so that's kind of different. But yeah, I never really liked casino stuff. Usually wait till we hit daily bottom and go long. But what if it just keeps going down? What if the daily bottom isn't the bottom? You know? I mean, you could buy at the bottom, but it could make a new low. And it could just go down the whole day. BGLC still going down. Right, we had an interesting spike down here. 430. Super low volume, too. 12,000 to drop this thing 25 cents. Yeah, you can increase your probability day trading. Yeah, for sure. Now, of course, you can still just randomly gamble if you don't really have an edge or if you're just going off of gut intuition. Then, yeah, that would be gambling. I don't YOLO buy up to... I don't YOLO. I buy up to 10 contracts. Let it move 5 cents. TS, and that's $50. And that can happen in a minute. Many traders I watch on YouTube use options for day trading. I mean, at least for me, I didn't really find much success. The most success I actually found with options was selling options for theta decay. So I would find stocks, I would research the companies, I'd be like, okay, what's a fair value for this price based off of the fundamentals? Then I would sell a put, or not, no, I would sell puts for like 2 months out. And I'd say, okay, if the price drops to this level, I feel like this is a good fundamental value. Occasionally, the price would drop there. I would be forced to buy. And then I would sell calls, right? Because I'm like, okay, I was willing to hold here at this price, and now let me sell calls. And I would sell them like 2 months out. And it's kind of like a wheeling thing, if you've heard the wheeling strategy. But that's more of like a mix of using long-term investments with options. But that's the only actual strategy I've ever used that actually made money with options. The other ones just, I mean, I've tried day trading with 0 TTE. That's just, I mean, that's probably the most degenerate form of trading I've ever done. Yeah, I've tried swinging options, but at that point, because of theta decay, I almost feel like it's better just to buy the underlying. Yeah, I don't know. I personally think options is one of the hardest ways to make money. It's also the most flashy, which is probably why people on YouTube do it so much, because that's the best way to draw in people. I made 1000% returns. And you can too. But yeah, I don't know. I never really liked options for anything more than selling them for premium and just selling longer dated expirations. That's the only thing I found worked for me. You gotta scalp options. I mean, what I did worked pretty well, right? Sell a stock that has high IV, buy it or do the options at a price you think is fair value, and then be willing to hold, and then sell premium against you to make passive income that way. That's the only thing that worked for me. I mean, if you have something that works for you, that's great. I'm not judging you for that. I'm just saying, to me, I couldn't find anything that works. CMCT still currently holding. Yeah, it's holding here. It's doing okay. Like, you can see a very slight curl. Maybe the 5-minute shows it better. See it? You're seeing like a slight, I mean, I don't even know if I'd call it a curl. More just like it's holding at this level. Some trader buy puts on SPY because call doesn't move that fast. See, to me that doesn't even make sense, because they should both be priced the same. Because yeah, like SPY it's gonna move the same amount regardless of if it moves up or down. Now, calls might not be priced as high because the expected performance of the SPY is that it moves up. So therefore, you could say that maybe that would cause people to price in the moving up. So perhaps if price moves against you, that is the less expected result. So maybe that could explain that discrepancy. But as far as like if you buy at a contract at $5 and the price moves up $1, you're going to make just as much as you would if the price moved down $1. If that makes sense. Like there should be no reason why there's a difference there. If there was, that would be an arbitrage opportunity. Right, and because the SPY is one of the most thickly traded instruments on the whole market, I would assume you've got people who are very highly intelligent institutional traders that watch and document that extremely closely. That's just my intuition. I obviously don't know if that's the case, but that's just what my gut reaction would be. 932 VWAP. So basically you're saying it's been like kind of testing this. It's been basically testing the VWAP. Keep in mind too, this volume is elevated still. Right? We're seeing some of these candles with over 100,000 volume on a stock that only has like, I mean, it says, let me switch it here, but I think it's under 1 million. Yeah, under 1 million shares. This thing is still moving 100,000 a minute on some minutes. Like, this still has interest, and it's holding up well. Right, and Quantex, that's just how I interpret options. Like that, I've worked with them in the past, so that's my experience with them. It's my subjective experience. I would just say, if you're going to look at other people on YouTube doing options trading, be very skeptical, just be aware that there's a lot of smoke and mirrors stuff you can do to make you look better. Yeah, HDLC, there is a possibility because Thinkorswim and Webull, they both have different reporting data. So when they plug stuff on the chart, you might not see the same price action on Webull as Thinkorswim. And because the VWAP is calculated based off the volume for the input data, because the input data is different, you're going to get different VWAPs from different brokers. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So while you might see the VWAP is 932 on Thinkorswim, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the actual VWAP, because that's just the VWAP based off the reported data for that broker. Wow, they calculate differently. Yeah, they calculate differently. Yeah, and yeah, that is how it works. Regardless of time frame, they all calculate the same, but you need the same data being put in. So if a different broker has different data that they report, then the VWAP will be different. Yeah, yep. You'll see higher volume, lower volume. You'll see different candlesticks too, a lot of times. So if a candle has a very high particular volume, there is a chance that some of the major moves up or down won't actually get reported, depending on how they're reporting it. And you may actually see completely different candle formations on different brokers. I've seen that happen before. Like if you took a chart, if you took this exact 1 minute chart and you would go candle by candle looking at the highs and the lows for each of these candles, I guarantee you would see some of these candles have different high and low prices. I would guarantee you. Don't hold me to that. Please don't sue. But no, I would suspect that you would see some variation on these candles. This is holding up very nicely, though. You see different high and lows? Yep. That's very common. Nice volume on this breakout here. Regardless of which VWAP is the real VWAP, it's probably above it now. Yep. Yeah, CMCT definitely has nice volume coming in here. Yeah, this is similar volume to the volume when we saw this sell-off. This doesn't look terrible. We got 4 minutes till the top of the hour, 3 now. And we'll see if any news comes out at 9. I appreciate all you guys for sticking around with me too for this. I mean, it's a pretty slow day overall today, so yeah, thank you for that. So we had a bit of a topping tail wick here. Volume is still high. It's holding up though. Someone spotted an interesting insight on Ross's channel. A 9 and 21 EMA gap on 10-second charts is an indication of how long to hold. I reviewed some charts and found to be quite true. A 9 and 21 EMA gap on the 10-second. I mean, so you're saying like when they would cross? I mean, if you're looking for extreme momentum, you would be getting out at the slightest sign of hesitation then. I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on that. I can kind of see why that would work. Right, 9 is above the 21. That's why I was saying when they cross, right? So you would get out when they cross. That's what I was going for there. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't use the 10-second chart. I do want to use it, but unfortunately Thinkorswim doesn't have that, I think. You might be able to customize it to do that. That could be something I could look into, because I do think the 10-second is more effective for assessing price action, because a lot of times, unfortunately, whenever I'm assessing these candles, like you can see that this topped here, but you don't know how many times it tops. You're seeing it now on the 10-second chart for CMCT. Yeah, because like you're seeing it's like kind of churning a little bit here, but on a 10-second chart you would see that a lot cleaner. Use ticks. Okay. 30 ticks. Yes, at this point it's 9:59. Nice little pop here. Yeah, I'll look into that today to see if there is a 10-second chart for Thinkorswim. I don't believe there is, because like when I go down to just this simple drop down, it's not there. But there could be something I could customize. So I'll look into that today to see if I can find anything. Weeble has sub-minute. They also just added footprint. Really? Okay. Maybe I'll check. I mean, I'm still going to use Lightspeed, but maybe I'll look into Weeble. If they do have a 10-second chart, because I know Weeble's charting is good, right? It's on par with Thinkorswim. Yeah, I think I'll do that today. I'm going to look into Weeble today. Yeah, to my knowledge, there's no 10-second, but I know Thinkorswim is also very customizable, so there could be a way you could actually code it in, because that shouldn't be too hard to code, if I'm being honest. You're just making an update every 10 seconds instead of every 60. FYI, I use both Weeble and Thinkorswim. Only 1 minute on Thinkorswim. That's why I use Tick. Right. I trade on Moomoo. I use TradingView for charts. Yeah, I've seen Moomoo. I haven't used them. I mean, I've used enough brokers now. But EMA crossed. Yeah, I mean, this is... I'm not surprised they're crossed. This is clearly a bit of a pullback. Not really what you'd want to see either. To see a false breakout followed by an immediate rejection. Not really what you'd want to see. This pullback is actually on lighter volume though. So this isn't actually... I'm not super confident that this is a bear trap. IPDN is moving. Take a look at it. Okay. There was news at 9. Does have a history of making good moves. And the shares outstanding isn't terrible either. Just throwing an order there if it just decides to pop down like that again. Because it popped down like that on super, super low volume. Yeah, CMCT looks like it's kind of recovering back. That initial breakdown was on lower volume. So it could have been a fake out. CMCT seems like it's just moving here. One thing that could help this too is it doesn't look like there's any catalysts that I can see, at least so far, that are moving well. So that's going to refocus attention back to CMCT. So that could give it some extra momentum. Right, it is possible because this died right at 9 o'clock. People were worried that another catalyst would steal the thunder. And now that there doesn't seem to be that, maybe attention is shifting back now. Yeah, Death of News has this moving. I wouldn't be surprised if that's contributed. Struggling to hold through 10. Yeah, there's definitely a seller at 10, and they're letting it go through 10 slightly. So this is the first time we're actually breaking away from 10. XTIA. Looks like this also had news. Okay, this was a halt update. For what? This is a lot of shares, though. Yeah, the higher number of shares kind of has me uninterested. Ten-second chart on TradingView requires premium subscription. Of course it does. Of course it does. Even though it's just the same exact thing, except it updates every 10 seconds instead of a minute. But yeah, I think I should look into getting 10-second chart, either if I just go through Weeble or I look into maybe trying to code it into Thinkorswim. Because, yeah, I feel like the 10-second would be more helpful to me for a lot of these entries. The 1 minute tends to help me more with the pullbacks, but the 10-second would be more helpful for the front side of the move. It's hard to say. We're back at that 10-20 level again. So the same area where we were struggling before. Surprisingly, this volume is actually higher than a lot of these candles here. Only this candle is higher volume than what we're seeing right now. So we're actually seeing more interest now. Hmm. Take a position there. That breakdown was a bit weaker. Only 1/4 size though. Looking to sell half at around 10. Okay, sold half. Looking for this thing to break out to around 1020, 1030. Bit of a seller at 990 now. That breakdown was also quite weak. But I'm seeing sellers on the level 2. It looks like there's a hidden seller. There was one at 10. Then they moved it down to 990. So I'm worried there might be just a hidden seller here. I'm just going to cut it. Seeing the red flags of a potential hidden seller, I'm just going to call it with that. Very small winner. I think that was like a $6 winner or something. And we did end up making a new low here too. Still on lower volume. We're seeing these spikes down on lower volume. This almost feels similar to this, where we were seeing these spikes down on lower volume and it's curling. I'm almost wondering if it's going to do the same thing here. Have a good day. Gotta go now. You have a good one, man. I'm probably not going to be here much longer either. I wanted to stay till 9 to see if anything was coming up, but not really seeing anything else too crazy. But yeah, you have a good one, man. Very interesting the way this thing's moving. Higher volume on that breakdown. Oh yeah. Yeah, buy on the breakdown at market open, double your money. I mean, maybe, or maybe not. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it here for the day. I'm not seeing anything else in play. I'm probably done touching this. Overall, I mean, I made a good bit off of it. 19 bucks isn't terrible, considering some of my entries weren't the best. But yeah, thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. If you're going to trade this today, be safe. This thing is probably going to be crazy today. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this thing go up a lot, or if it completely dumps. Yeah, just FYI, Thinkorswim is still better than Webull for customizable front, but Webull does offer stuff like that Thinkorswim doesn't. Yeah, I've used both before, and I agree. Webull is more of it's really better at what it does, but the things it doesn't have, it's also very linear, right? Webull does what it does really well, but just doesn't have as wide of a range of features as some of the things Thinkorswim has. But yeah, you guys have a good one. I'll do the recap later today. And yeah, stay safe, take care.